a song of a lass that is gone. Say could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Billow and breeze, islands and seas, mountains of rain and sun. All that was good, all that was fair, all that was me is gone. Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Well, that was
Something.
that was cute singing, but not very good playing. I'm sorry about that, everybody.
I'm not so sure about the singing either. Hello, and welcome to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Erica,
And I'm Dominic.
and that was a very cold opening. On today's podcast, if you couldn't tell by that little attempt at the theme song there to Outlander, we're going to be talking about the season finale of Outlander.
Yes, yeah.
Which aired on Sunday. Yesterday for us, because we're recording this on Monday. So, anybody who doesn't watch the show, go ahead and skip this episode.
Pause here. No. They don't have to skip this
Okay,
episode.
okay.
They can pause here. They can go watch it. And then come back.
Yes, and we do
It's a
recommend
miracle.
it. And we do recommend you guys watch the series. If you
Oh,
like period
yes.
dramas or time travel or the 1960s or the American Revolution, there's so many different little things that you
If
could
you want to
possibly
learn about
be
Scottish
into.
history, like
Yeah.
a couple of YouTubers we watch
Mm-hmm.
said that, it's really, and one of them Scottish, he said, really taught me about Scottish history.
Yeah.
And like stuff I didn't know about Culloden and the Jacobite risings and everything,
Yeah. We definitely recommend the show, you guys. There's so much to it. You're bound to like some aspect of it.
Yeah, there's obviously the romance novel bit is,
but it's
good
quite
for a certain people.
actiony.
There's actiony
action-filled,
there, yeah.
Drama.
It's a good story. Diana Gabaldon did a good job at writing this. I mean, obviously
But
the
did
show
she
is
do-
the show is a different animal to the books.
Yeah, well, so we've heard. We have
not read the books, but a lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, it's 50-50 as to where this can go."
Yeah.
But this episode we're going to be dealing with the finale of season 5, Never My Love.
Yeah.
That hit by the Association in 1967.
The series is a great series, but was the finale a great finale? This is the question we're going to try and answer.
We're going to try and answer this.
If you first of all, if you guys do watch the show and you have not seen
Yeah.
the finale yet, go watch it before you come and listen, because there will be spoilers. There will be blood.
There will be blood. Blood would be spilt.
There will be spoilers. So go ahead and pause this now, go watch the episode, and then come back and listen.
Dinner fash.
Are you back?
Are you back? Okay, well, I'm going to start off with the beginning of the finale, which was, I mean, in the previous episode to it, Claire, at the end of it, Claire was kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
By Lionel Brown. That awful, awful man, Lionel Brown.
Yes.
Terrible man. He was kidnapped because he kidnapped Claire.
Yeah.
And knocked out Marcelly.
Mm-hmm. I thought Marcelly was dead.
I thought she was done for.
She whacked her head so hard on that.
Well, I thought Marcelly was dead, and she was.
Whatever it was.
Well, I think it was actually wood.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think it's. I don't think they had concrete back then.
No, not concrete, but I thought it was like brick or stones.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know, but she went really whack, you know.
I think
was
it's
like,
just that hard,
no.
you know, that hard stuff, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that they put down. You know, the hard stuff we used to put down in the 1700s on floors in North Carolina. She whacked her head. She was knocked out. They grabbed Claire, and you know, obviously the distillery explosion was a distraction for Jamie and Roger. And Roger wasn't there, because in that episode, Roger and Brianna travel back through the stones.
Yeah.
Or did they? Mm-hmm. We find out in this episode what happened to them. With Jemmy and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, they took Claire, and it was basically Lionel had seen that she was actually Dr. Rawlings.
Yeah.
And he was all like, "Oh, you're filling women's heads with all this stuff.
We'll teach you a lesson." Teach you.
And they were going to take her to a town where she was going to have basically another witch trial.
Yeah. He was going to out her as Dr. Rawlings.
Yeah, out her as a fraud and make her tell everyone that she was talking crap.
Mm-hmm.
In the stuff, and you know, so women could just go on being women, and that was it. And you know, basically along the way they had to stop, obviously, and they tied her to a tree and beat her up. And you know, this apparently happened in the books. So this was a plot point in the books.
Yeah, we've been looking at like Twitter, and
we've seen a lot of fans' reactions saying, I love the finale. Katrina Balfe was brilliant. Give her all the awards. It was such a great, and it was so great dealt with.
Yeah.
And everything.
Oh, yeah. She did a great job.
She did a great job. The actors and everything in this are doing a fantastic job. There is nothing wrong with them.
Mm.
The story, you know, I did read a piece where I'm thinking, it did change my mind a bit. It was like, did this need to happen for the story to progress?
I hate to say this.
But it happened in the book. So
I feel like I'm gonna be judged for saying this.
Judgment time is near.
But at the same time, it's my feeling. You know, I just feel like I have no idea if the books are this heavy. I don't know. Now Dominic and I have not been watching this since it first came out. We just got into this a couple of months ago. We binged it.
We binged it. The first couple of episodes, we were kind of like, ooh, it's going a bit slowly. Don't know if we're going to keep on with this. But we persevered, and boom, you know, it picked up.
Yeah.
A little bit like Belgravia. And I think that was only going to be a mini-series anyway.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 episodes, it was like, oh, yeah, this is pretty good now.
It came to life.
You know, but, you know, that it needs... That's what... The first seasons of shows are always going to be rocky. New cast, new story, new characters. They've got to all kind of come together. So if you watch a couple of episodes and go, it's not for me... persevere, keep at it.
Because if it's a show that you've heard a lot about, then odds are it's still going.
It's you know, it's been giving a chance. You know, there's life being breathed into this. You know.
So my point in saying that we have not been watching it week by week. We binged up until this season, and then the last, I don't know, most of this season, I guess we've been watching week by week.
I think
about halfway through. About halfway
through, yeah, because they broke for like a week, didn't they?
Yeah.
After the hanging of Roger.
Yeah. So it may be, you may feel differently about it if you've been watching it just, you know, every Sunday. But for us, because we binged it, to me, it feels a bit heavy on the rape storylines.
Yeah, there's a lot of rape in Outlander.
There's
a lot of and I'm not talking just about women. There's men rape as well.
Yeah. You know, and I'm not saying don't tell those stories because obviously they're important stories to tell. I think they're in the
books too.
There's stories
as far as I can tell.
There's stories that even today people can unfortunately relate to. I'm definitely not saying don't tell those stories, but just coming from having binged it one episode after the other, several episodes in a day or in an evening sometimes, just still feels very rapey. and it's just like...
It's like...
If it's in the books, fine.
It's in the books, yeah. And there's a point I want to get to.
Okay.
When we talk about this, you know,
we'll go ahead.
So we kick off this finale, season 5, with like a dream sequence, and it's like, well, as far as we know, it's kind of, we've gone forward in time to the 60s.
Mm-hmm. That's what we originally thought, yeah.
60s in, Claire's there, she's looking all 60s, and then we see a guy come in, and it's Jamie.
The thing I noticed...
What's Jamie doing there?
The thing I noticed before Jamie came in, because at first we were like, oh, have we gone forward in time?
There's an orange.
Claire went back to, you know, her real life, maybe, but... I noticed that her hair was not gray at all. Did you notice that in the 60s?
Her hair wasn't
it was
gray.
all like... So I was like, okay, maybe she went back and she's got access to hair dye. Yeah.
She's back on the hair dye.
But then we saw Jamie.
Then we saw Jamie come in, and you know, he was kind of not dressed in, like, very 60s guy, but someone on Twitter said, no, he was wearing blue jeans. I saw him wearing blue jeans.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch the episode again. I'd have to go back
and watch the episode again, but he didn't look very 60s. I mean, he looked like Jamie from the 1700s to me. Yeah. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, it's a dream. This is her coping mechanism for what's happening to her in the 1700s right now. You know, she's being bandied up, she's being taken advantage of by these men.
Yeah. It was obviously a dream because we saw Murtaugh.
Then we saw Murtaugh and Jocasta.
Yeah.
And Jocasta could see. Then young Ian turned up.
Oh, yeah.
And he was all in, like, American Army, like he'd just come home from Vietnam.
Yeah.
And he had the crazy buzz cut. And he was like, oh, Auntie Claire, yay! Jamie's there, and, you know, they're having a thing. And there was the symbolism of the orange.
I don't know what that was about.
Like, peeling an orange? I don't know.
What?
Yeah, because she picked it up at the end of the episode just before...
An orange, yeah. I haven't thought that much about that.
It's got to be something to do with something in the books, I'm guessing.
Maybe. Or something they've mentioned in a previous episode that we just
It was
don't
Thanksgiving
remember.
1968, I'm guessing. 69, maybe. I don't know. It's just the 60s anyway.
Yeah, but it was Thanksgiving.
And she's just kind of like having this thing, we're all safe in the 20th century.
Yeah, everybody's happy.
Everyone's happy. We're having a great Thanksgiving, but Brianna and Roger aren't here.
Yeah.
And it's like, because she thinks Brianna and Roger have gone through the stones and she doesn't know what's happened to them. Mm-hmm. So she's like, oh. And then she gets a visit from, like, 2 cops, one of whom was played by the guy who plays Lionel Brown. Says,
yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Mackenzie were killed in a car accident.
Yeah, we're sorry to inform you. Yeah.
And so she's all like, oh, you know.
I thought also there was a connection, the car crash, because obviously Frank had been killed in a car crash.
That's right, yeah.
Right. So, but there's also an aspect of maybe they're gonna go back in time. Maybe she was having some sort of premonition in a way. That might happen to them if they go back, you know, to the 60s, 70s.
My thing is like, you know, it's like whenever season 6 comes out, you know, whenever all this stops and they can get back to filming, which I'm sure they're itching to because, you know, it's going to be 2022 by the time season 6 comes out. And they do, and over here they don't like doing that.
Right, I was going to say that's sort of
in
normal.
Britain it'd be like, yeah, fine, you know,
no
take as long as you need. Come back in 5 years, we'll still watch you. But in America, it's kind of like
you'll be old news.
You'll be old news fast, and it'll be like, oh, no one cares about Outlander anymore.
Yeah,
you know, that's what they think, that the American public
and
the fans who watch Outlander have the attention span of a gnat.
I mean, that does sort of happen in America, though. I will say that does sort of happen. I know it's happened with me, actually.
It's never happened with me.
You know?
I've never once, you know, like Sherlock. If Sherlock comes back, I'm not going to go, I don't care about Sherlock anymore. I'm not going to watch Sherlock.
Right. I mean, I would...
You probably would, though. And you have.
I might,
we did it about something.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't really care about this anymore.
Killing Eve, but that was Killing Eve came back.
Killing Eve, I think, comes every year, doesn't it?
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely been something in the past that, some British show, that I can't remember saying that. Like, I don't really care about this anymore.
I don't really care about it. I moved on in my life.
I mean...
I moved on in my televisual life. I'm on to better things now.
But yeah, so since you mentioned Brianna and Roger, should we just go quickly...
Go to that point,
Their storyline was fairly short in this episode.
Yes, it was. I mean, they went through the stones with... Well, young Ian watched them go through the stones, and then in the last episode, and then they woke up and they go, what, the devil? And that was it. And we were like, oh, what was there? Did they...
Yeah.
You know.
You said maybe he saw a McDonald's. Dominic said, I bet he saw, like, the golden arches of a McDonald's. And he was just like, what the devil?
What the devil? It's like, oh, better build a McDonald's here. People have been going missing here. So.
They went too far into the future. But no, so then in this episode, we sort of back up, we replay that scene again from their point of view, because we couldn't really see what they were seeing, but what they were seeing was basically just
it was young Ian. Young Ian was like, oh, you're back.
Yeah, Jemmy's like,
that was quick.
Ian.
And it was like, oh, what happened? And they were just like, oh, I was thinking of home. And it was like, so was I. So obviously that tells you that the stones send you where your heart desires to go most.
So I want to diverge a little bit from this episode, and let's talk about the stones. Is that okay for a minute?
Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, let's go.
The stones, and time travel. Let's just talk about that.
The you don't think they need the gems?
Well, first of all, you had Gayless.
Gayless
thinks who thought you needed gems, and you had to have a human sacrifice.
Yeah, preferably a husband.
Well, Claire obviously did not have a human sacrifice the first time she went back to the 1700s. Yeah. And guys, keep in mind...
Did she have any pearls the first time, though?
Guys, keep in mind, if you have read the books, we have not read the books. So if you've read the books, you probably have
know
more
what's
information.
Going on.
Yeah, you probably have more information to go off of than we do. We have not read the books. We don't know if they explain this more in the books or not. But Claire did not do a human sacrifice to go back to the 1700s the first time she went.
It was just
from
an
the
accident.
1940s.
Yeah.
It was just total accident, just curiosity. She just was.
She could
drawn.
hear the buzzing. She could hear the buzzing. I guess it's like bees buzzing, and she was like, "Oh, what's that?" You know, and it just kind of drew her to the stone, and she put her hand in it. Boom, there she was.
And did she have any gemstones?
I think she had some pearls on her.
I think you're thinking of the pearls that Jamie sent back.
Frank gave her something, though, didn't he? Frank gave her a necklace, in that
remember.
little scene. He's like, oh, here, have a necklace.
My theory...
And then,
my theory is just that... Yeah, when she went... just to cut myself off in mid-thought. When she went back to the 1940s from the 1700s, she thought Jamie was going to be killed in Culloden,
she lived for 20 years
when she went
century.
back, she didn't take gemstones with her that time, did she?
I can't remember.
She definitely had the pearls that Jamie gave her on their wedding night that had been his mother's.
Mm.
She definitely had those because he wanted her to have them to give to Brianna, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I don't know. We could be jumbling this totally up. But anyway, to go back, my feeling is that you don't need any of that nonsense.
You don't need anything else. You just have to believe.
Well, you have to have a reason. There has to be some sort of reason
to go through. I'm or maybe it's just a case of, I'll get to this in a minute now.
I think her original reason was just that she belonged with Jamie. She was not meant to be with Frank. She was meant to be with Jamie.
Yeah.
So she had to go through the stones to meet him.
She met him, then the Culloden happened, he came back, and, she had this life bringing up Brianna with Frank.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't do it in the 1700s. And so she lived for 20 years in the 20th century. Then Roger and Brianna figured out, you can go back.
And Brianna was able to go back.
Apparently Frank knew that they were going to go back anyway because he had that article.
Well, he knew Claire was going.
North Carolina Observer or whatever.
He knew Claire was going to because he had the obituary that Claire.
Yeah, that's what
Fraser
I mean. Yeah.
had been killed. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he knew that Brianna.
Oh no, he didn't know that Brianna was going to go through. No, I mean he knew Claire was going to go back anyway.
Yeah.
Because they were killed in some fire or something. He'd done some research and...
So I think Claire was able to go back again in the 60s after the 20 years she spent living in her own timeline. Because, again, she was meant to be with Jamie. She should have always been there. She should have always stayed. So I think that's why she was able to go back. I think Brianna was able to go back because... She was meant to be with her... Well, she had to go warn her parents that they were going to be killed in a fire. And then Roger was able to go back because he was in love with Brianna, and Brianna had gone back, so then he was able to go back.
Yeah.
Right?
Roger, yeah. I read a kind of spoiler from the books anyway, which people will know who've read the books anyway. When Roger and Brianna were going to go back through the stones in the last episode, I thought, yeah, they're going to go back through the stones because I've read that they actually end up living at Lallybroch, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And living in the 70s at Lallybroch, with Jemmy and
so maybe...
And when they didn't, I thought, okay, this is the TV show, they've got to all stay together in the 1700s.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking, if they're not following the plot line of the book so closely, then maybe that was a premonition that Claire had that they're all going to go through.
Yeah.
Because Diana Gabaldon has said Jamie cannot travel through the stones.
Yeah.
She said that, apparently. She's come out and said he's not a time traveler, he cannot go through the stones. And and they've kind of held true to that with that little piece of, moon rock or whatever that was.
Yeah.
That Jemmy was like, that's how they found out that Jemmy could go back through the stones and everything, yeah. He was like, it's all hot, and it was stone cold to young Ian, and it was stone cold to Jamie.
Yeah.
So it means they can't go through,
Yeah. But again, maybe they're just not meant to.
They're just not meant to until there becomes a reason, then the rock becomes hot, shall we say.
Yeah, right. So my other thought about Brianna and Roger and Jemmy just showing up, obviously they said I was thinking of home, so was I. So that kind of told us that this is your home. That's why you were returned here.
But they were needed there.
They were needed there, yes.
Because of Claire.
Yeah. But I also thought maybe if they're meant to be back in the present day, and you said you have read about the Lallybroch.
Yeah.
Maybe they have to travel back to Britain and travel through those stones.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's that kind of thing.
Yeah. Maybe they're not meant to be in America in the 1970s.
Because,
whatever,
I mean, I was thinking, they're going to have to, they've gone up to New York, they've traveled through the stones, and, they come back to the 70s, they're going to have to figure out a way to get, money, I guess.
Right, yeah.
To get back to the UK.
Yeah.
Because they'll be in America.
Yeah.
Unless that's just a little Deus Ex Machina that's just like, whatever stones you go through, wherever you end up, that's where you'll end up.
Yeah.
This brings me on to another point. Remember the guy that helped Claire when she was lost? The Indian,
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, they called him something. The Mohawk knew him. Right. And they killed him. Mm-hmm. Because he was apparently, that's where they got the rock from. It was from him. The Moonstone. His name was Bob Springer, apparently.
Yeah.
Because he was from the 70s.
They named him.
No, 1968.
Yeah.
Because as Claire was being, Claire was tied up against a tree, she's having a little dream and someone's talking about, Marcelly, I guess it is, because Marcelly was in that 60s dream with Fergus, and he had both his hands. Yeah. And it was like, we're going to have another baby, what's it going to be called? We're thinking something hip like Ringo,
Oh, Marcelly said that?
I think it was Marcelly. Someone was like, we're thinking of something hip like Ringo.
I don't remember
and then
that.
She heard and then she kind of came out of it, because the guy was going, does the name Ringo Starr mean anything to you? Yeah. And she was like, what? Yeah. And then this is in the 1700s.
He had already talked to her once, though, and he said something, and as soon as he said it, I was like, I think maybe he's a time traveler, too, this guy. He said something about, do they have clear skies where you're from?
Do you have clear skies where you're from?
And she was just like, what are you talking about, And then he says, something about, looking like something about their looking like the man on the moon. It looks
no
like
matter
you
where
could see
you go,
the man on the moon.
The man on the moon. Yeah,
and
the man on the moon.
Yeah, man on the moon, like man landing on the moon is how I took it. Just, it was like, he's trying to like see if she has a reaction to that, which she wouldn't have because she didn't make it that far in the 60s. That happened in 69.
She did.
Did she make it all the way to 69?
Oh God, I don't know now. Yeah, did she?
I thought it was 68.
Yeah, no, because that's what this guy said. Does the name Ringo Starr mean anything to you? And she was like, yeah, he's a drummer. And he was like, I knew it. I knew you were a time traveler. I came back with a bunch of Native Americans.
Yeah.
To help our people.
Yeah, to warn them about what was going to happen. Yeah.
From 1968, he said.
Okay.
So he goes, do you know anything about what happened to Bob Springer? We were all like split up. And he's like, oh, he was killed. And he was like, oh no. And she was like, oh, you can help me. Let's get a horse. Let's go. And he didn't help her. No. Why didn't he help her?
Yeah.
And he seems to have disappeared when Jamie and everyone turned up to slaughter them all.
Yeah.
He seems to have disappeared. So it's like,
was he really there?
Or, he's going to turn up again? Obviously, at some point in the next season. I don't know. Yeah.
Or was she just kind of imagining that? Was that like an in-between her happy place dream that she was having?
Yes.
And, what was really
his name was
happening?
Donna, apparently. And apparently that quote, does the name Ringo Starr mean anything to you, was a direct quote from the books.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, they've kind of kept that one on.
Yeah, so it looks like, if he was in the books, then maybe he's a real person. But yeah, why didn't he help her then? If he was a real person.
If he goes, oh, I can't help them because you've got to act afraid because women of this time, you don't act afraid of men.
Yeah.
And women of this time do, and you've got to act afraid of men.
Yeah.
And of course, she's never going to do that.
Yeah.
So, it was like, everyone had their go.
Yeah.
Of course, Jamie turns up.
Jamie and his gang, his posse.
His posse with Roger in tow and Brianna. Well, no, Brianna wasn't with them.
No,
young Ian and Fergus were willing to kill for her.
Oh, I almost cried at that part.
She was all beaten, bruised, and everything.
Yeah. Who was it? The Welsh guy. He turns his knife. He says, okay, we've gathered up. There's some that are still living. Do you want to have the honors of killing them because they've done this to you?
Yeah.
And Jamie just automatically says, no, she's not
she
going
can't,
to. She took an oath.
Not kill.
Yeah, she took an oath, as a doctor. She can't take lives,
Jamie.
And he says, oh, it's my job as her husband to take to take the lives for her. And then young Ian says, and mine.
And then Fergus goes,
and then Fergus says, and mine, milady. And I'm just like, no, they're so sweet. They look at her like their mom, even though, Well,
Fergus was just taken from the streets of Paris.
Yeah. He was just a little hoodlum.
He was a little hoodlum, and young Ian obviously belongs to the sister.
Yeah.
Roger killed his first man. During all this, actually killed him properly, like intentionally, not like, because he killed that child that was part of that fire.
Yeah.
Which apparently was done by Lionel's men.
Yeah, I guess so.
They're just trying to drum up unrest or whatever. He killed her as a mercy killing, but this was actual, heated battle blood. So he had to talk to Brianna about that, killed a man, So this has changed Roger. Roger's starting to step up a bit now.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people going, oh, he's a 20th century man, he's a thinker, he's sensitive, he's more evolved than that, because this kind of stuff wouldn't have happened to him. I said, yeah, it wouldn't have happened to him, and it should have made him more stronger from the get-go.
Yeah.
He's been taken by the Mohawk, he's been almost hanged.
Yeah.
He's been almost killed several times. that's it. You know, it's like it should have made him a bit more stronger, but he just wanted to go home at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And now he realizes his home is in the 1700s. But we'll see next season what happens.
Yeah, but Claire says to Jamie...
I have a feeling next season Claire's going to want to be going home. She's going to want to try and get... She's going to be obsessed with trying to get everyone out of this.
And maybe that was the point of the episode.
Because she's like, oh, I've been raped now.
We finished this episode, you guys, and it was not that it was a bad episode, because it was, it just felt an intense episode.
It just left you wanting more to, like, wrap up the story.
Well, yeah.
I think that's the frustration.
Well,
you know?
It did not feel like there was anything left to propel us into another season.
It was kind of like...
It was just like...
here we go.
It was like a mid-season episode to me.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't like a finale episode.
And I mean, that's a weird thing to say unless you understand what we mean.
Yeah, there was no kind of like, like cliffhanger, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess there doesn't have to be a cliffhanger,
It's just the end of the season, yeah.
But I think we've kind of been trained to think cliffhangers are how a season ends, yeah.
Yeah.
There was just nothing, like, I can't for the life of me think, what's going to be the opening episode of the next season, just be like...
I mean...
There's nothing
Claire won't be magically all better.
I think you're right. I had not
she'll
thought
be traumatized, and I think she'll be just going to like...
I've got to get everybody out of here.
I've got to get everybody back through the stones. Jamie, young Ian, everyone's coming back to 1960s.
Because what were they saying? They were lying in bed at the end of the episode. She's obviously traumatized and everything. She did mention something about basically the Revolutionary War that's coming, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what she said. So maybe that in itself was setting up the next season.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be that coming. That's a couple of years off yet.
I mean, they could not have predicted this COVID-19 crisis that's happening. Not.
Yeah, so...
But it's a weird episode to end on not knowing when we're going to be coming back and not coming back for a long time.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling they thought, oh, we'll just get rolling into the season 6 and set up for the action. But COVID-19 has put everything on, throwing everyone into a loop, through a loop, for a loop, whatever you call it.
I think I heard somewhere that they are going to try to start filming in the fall. So they normally film most of the year. So that means
but the thing is, they're going to probably rush this.
Yeah.
Out. Try and get as much back on schedule as possible.
Yeah.
Try and get as close to the schedule as possible because you leave there because it's gaining momentum. Outlander. I think it's getting more popular.
Yeah.
And if they start filming in the fall now, they can, they'll probably rush through scenes. There'll be no time to mess with anything.
Yeah.
Which might result in a bad season.
I don't know.
But, I think I don't know about fans. Would you prefer just any old Outlander to, just no Outlander? Or would you prefer take our time and get filming done as we've done it before? Like a normal thing,
Yeah.
I just think, they're going to roll into this and it's going to be Claire, like, fixated on getting them all out of there.
Yeah.
Okay? She's going to become like a Roger and go, you know what, we need to figure out a way to get them all through the stones and live in the 20th century.
Yeah.
Where there's no war, and there's no there's no danger of being shot at or it's relatively safer than the 1700s.
I can still think of two things that are not tied up.
There was
the first one being the fire that they supposedly died in, and the second one being the prediction that the little old Native American woman told Claire about her being white-haired and
powerful.
Yeah, that she's just going to get stronger, and she sees her being white-haired and everything, which tells me there that she's not going to die in a fire.
She's not going to die in a fire, and, white-haired and powerful could mean she could, I don't know if that means in the 1700s or the 20th century.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Those are unanswered questions, and until Season 6 rolls around, we won't see that.
Yeah. Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. I think that wraps everything up.
Yeah,
you've got to tell us your thoughts and feelings on it as well. Just let us know.
Yeah, let us know in our Facebook group. You can find us on Facebook at T-Buddy.
At T-Buddy.
We're at T-Buddy everywhere, actually. TEABUTTY. So we're very active on Instagram particularly, but we also do have the Facebook group that we would love to hear from you on, and we're also on Twitter. So check us out in all those places. Check out our Patreon page. We have a store on our website if you're interested in British products, items from Amazon, or if you happen to be British, we also have American things on there that we recommend. We get a small commission off of every sale that we make, at no extra cost to you guys. So other than that, I think Dominic is gonna play us out. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.
Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Billow and breeze, islands and seas, mountains of rain and sun. All that was good, all that was fair, all that was me is gone. Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass